All right, we're back. My buddy Kenny in the background. He said he doesn't want to be in this, but this will be the wiring harness video. And we got a BP Automotive Gen 3 4L80 transmission standalone harness. Doesn't have a 4L80 in it, so I'll just wind that part of it up and zip tie it up and leave it down there. It's got a 400 turbo in it. Probably get a 4L80 later, and then we will hook it up later. First things first, skip straight to the back. Ain't that right, Kenny?
Sure.
No, do not. Hey, hot rod, read before you start the install. We've done, I don't know, I think we've done about 14 or 15 of these using the BP Automotive harness. And number one problem is customer error. Just straight up is. I really don't want to say it, but I have had a couple plugs come from the factory with some wires backwards, and we've had to de-pin a couple plugs and wire them. I've had the plug on the transmission be backwards and had to snap it apart and twist it because it's went on backwards and not shifted. And these can be plugged on backwards, the transmission plug. They don't go on very easy, but they will go on backwards. That's about the only couple of issues I've ever had with the BP Automotive harness. But what I'll try to do is try my best to show you how to use this BP Automotive harness. And maybe even try to refer to some of the instructions the best I can. First things first, I'm going to lay this harness out on the engine and see where I want to mount the computer. My computer is going to be inside. Some people might want to mount the computer on a firewall, on a fender. My computer is going to be under the dash. So basically, I got my harness laid in here with, if you'll notice the tags, everything is labeled. Bank 1, which is the driver's side coil pack. This is where it plugs in, okay? And the only reason I'm laying this up here is just to get an idea of where to drill the firewall. Or get an idea of where you want to mount your computer. Bank 2 coil pack. Right here. Okay. I want this to look as neat as possible when I'm done. So this section of wires will have to come through the firewall. And be hidden, maybe even up here. Possibly right here. We'll go inside and look and see what it looks like. All right, so inside here, no possible way. There's too much stuff up in the dash, but over here on the inside, it's completely open. I'm gonna go in there and double check again, but it looks like I'm gonna be cutting a hole right here and mounting this up here. more like down in here, about 3 inches below that grommet. So I got this little clip here. I'm gonna try to pull that completely off. See if I can see where that's at on the inside. That might be a good starting hole.
Yeah.
That's the top. That's the very top of what I can do.
There's a hole below it.
Huh?
What about the hole below it? I mean, you can reach it and get to it. See the hole below it?
And way down there?
Yeah, it's down there though. Yeah. You can get it drilled from the inside and feed it.
I'm gonna have to.
It's almost below it.
I can't get to that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in. Really do believe that I want the harness to come out right here. And I know my head's in the way and it's bald, but I've got a oil line and another hole here that's 5.5 inches apart, and 2 inches over from it. Right there's where I want it. And I will try my best to get this in there as close as I can to that. And I can't. Let me tell you, we found out that using an impact on these things will sure send her through. So I'm going to deburr this hole best I can with a little deburr tool. Just got one of these little deburr tools here. Use whatever you got. File, sandpaper, it doesn't matter. Alright, so my board just showed up and we're going to feed this harness through. The harnesses feed from the inside. And you've got to start from the very end and feed from the inside. So I'll send him in there and let him shove it through and I'll pull it out. What did he say?
did Mia do today? Did she shoot today?
Yeah, she shot today. Okay. Yep. We gotta get bring this. I gotta go take Mia to birthday for you.
Ask her if Sam wants to go.
Your birthday party?
Hey, Sam.
Got the throwing axe flakes and whatever. I'm gonna drop her off and I'm gonna go next door to the casino. Look at this money, kids. Or try to win some money to pay you next week. One of the two. Okay, let's see.
Yeah. Don't shove it. Okay, so basically after you get all the wires shoved out, the first thing you want to do is plug up your two coils. Bank 2 on the passenger side, bank 1 on the driver's side. And it's labeled right there, bank 2.
Just not on top of the oil or the side?
I got the AC switch. I got the bank 1 and bank 2 oxygen sensor wires, and I got all the 4L80 transmission wires. Oxygen sensor wires are going to be tuned out. They're not going to be needed. We're going with a 400 turbo. These are just going to be rolled up and probably put a bag around them, tape them up, put them in a safe place, wire them up, put them back inside the firewall, whatever we can do with them. They're not needed. The only wire back here we need is the camshaft position sensor wire and the map sensor wire. I've already hooked up the idle air control valve. I've hooked up the throttle position sensor. I need the air temperature sensor, air intake temperature sensor, and we got the crank sensor wire running down to the crank sensor. We'll lift it up and plug it in, and a starter wire that's ran down to hook up on the starter. The rest of these wires will try to neatly tuck them out of the way and put a cover over them the best we can. And a coolant temperature sensor. Get that one plugged in. And that's going to be tough doing. It looks like a mess, but we'll try to make it look neat. I am back to a new day. Yesterday we worked on this, and we didn't get real far, but we ran out of time. But anyways, I want to show you a little bit of the progress we made yesterday. What we did yesterday is we laid the harness out on the engine and tried to find the best location that we could according to the inside and the outside of where we could run the plug through the firewall. Over here was the best option for the harness, but there was no place to bring it through. Over here was the best option for the firewall, and that made the harness look pretty bad. So we had to work with the harness the best we could. And what we did was we took all of the non-essential plugs, ran them back through the harness, and laid them in the floorboard, and I'll show you that in a minute. But now I'm working on plugging in every sensor that I'm going to use. And I'm not going to use the NOx sensor. I'm not going to use the oxygen sensors. The transmission plugs are not going to be used on this because this is a 400 turbo and this harness is made for a 4L80. And it may, I'm not going to cut them out. I'm going to leave them in there because I might change this to a 4L80 later. So I'm just going to plug up the ones I'm using. And right now, I made a mistake on ordering this harness and got the wrong plug for my alternator. Okay, it specifically asks, and I thought I had the right alternator and I didn't. So this is the plug that I received, and this is the plug that I need. So what I did was I went over to an old harness, cut the plug off, and now I'm depinning it, and I'm going to try to put the BP automotive pins into a factory plug and plug it in. If that does not work, I'll cut the wiring and I'll splice it. All right, I'm going to cut it and splice it. I'm not here to argue with anybody about my splicing and soldering techniques. Drop it. I need it. I like using this marine style. It's got the glue in it that seals it. I'm dropping everything. Doesn't want to seem to go over it here. Come on. Some tough stuff. Come on, man. Mass airflow. Kidding. Alternator. It's the good thing about these harnesses is everything is tagged. Tells you right where it goes. I mean, if you get it wrong, it's your own fault. Now that we've got all these plugs hooked up, everyone knows how to do that stuff. I don't have to tell you how to do that stuff. Your kid can do that stuff. Everyone wants to know about the rest of the stuff. That's the part that everyone wants to watch. And it's also easy because it also says it right on the tags. This is where this goes. And you refer back to your little manual that they give you. This one right here. And a lot of times it's in yellow. For instance, make sure the pink black stripe switched ignition circuit has 12 volt in run and start. Can't tell you how many times people go to do this and it has 12 volt, but not while you're cranking it and not after it starts. That's one of the major issues of the swap harness not starting, because you don't read this and you're not making sure with a test light. Take a test light and test it. So this next part, I'm going to try to make it as clear as possible and show you how to do this stuff on these old beaters. I've already ran a positive from the battery to the starter. So I need to find my hot that I originally took off of the car. This purple should be the same as most GM. This is the starter solenoid wire. I didn't mark it, but that should be the starter solenoid wire. And this red here should be where the car is getting the power from, the starter. So if I go down there, because they're two right together, if I go down there and I hook this red up to the starter, along with my battery cable coming from the battery, and I take this one and I crank my ignition over, it should come on only in the crank position. That should tell me that that's the solenoid wire. That's my first step. I don't have computer hooked up. I just got the battery hooked up, and no other wires to my BP automotive harness are hooked up whatsoever. This purple wire coming out of the car is the first wire that I'm checking to make sure that it has power to the solenoid when it's cranking, and that's it. And it does. I can unhook my battery, hook this wire up. All right. This is basically another part that everybody is wanting to know about. These two here plug into your computer. You need to find a place that these will reach, that you can put your computer and hide it the best that you want. I really don't care if the computer goes right here, right on the hump, and we hide it with a built console of some sort. And then we hide the rest of this wiring right under it also, and then put a couple cup holders in it, because this is a mess under here, and people think, oh, we got all kinds of place to hide wiring under these dashes. No, there's not. We're probably going to build a console for this and just hide it right underneath it. So these two go right in your computer. Then you got this is your fuse box and relay box that comes right on your BP automotive harness. And right inside of it, it says what all your relays and your fuses are for. And this comes with a fuel pump and ignition relay right on it, okay? So a lot of people think that you have to run a separate wire for your fuel pump. No, this goes straight to your fuel pump. This powers it. This is your relay for it. That's all you need. So let's start off with that bundle. You got 3 bundles, okay? You got 3 bundles of wire. I'm gonna toss 2 of them off to the side. You got this first bundle, has 2 wires in it. The gray one is gonna say fuel pump on it. They always do, fuel pump right on it. And the pink one is gonna say switched ignition. So when I turn the ignition on, it needs to come on and stay on even when cranking. And a lot of people don't understand that. If I turn this ignition on and it comes on, but whenever I turn it over to the cranking position and it turns off, it's not working properly, okay? So I gotta go into my fuse box of this car and find a wire that works while it's cranking. And can you think of a wire that would probably, from the 1955 Chevy, that would supply power while cranking? Maybe the distributor hot? That's the first wire that I'm going to go for and see if it supplies power while cranking. So that's the first thing I'm going to do is work these two wires. The gray wire is going to go straight back to the fuel pump. And if you watch my other videos, when I installed that tank, I ran the fuel pump wire out and left it hanging. So that gray wire, it's probably not long enough to reach all the way back there. I just got to add some wire to it. It's going to run back right to it and hook right on it. And my fuel pump is rocking and rolling. And then we'll get back to this ignition wire. So I'm going to run this fuel pump wire, which is self-explanatory, and then get right back with you. Hook this straight to the fuel pump. All right, we're back for a minute. Earlier, I said we need a switched ignition that does not turn off while cranking. And I said the coil wire is a good one to use. So after about 2 hours of chasing down electrical problems with this 55, the ignition switch had a bad plug on it, and the coil wire was just loose in the terminal, and I couldn't get the coil wire to work. But anyways, we're back, and this is the coil wire, and I'm gonna crank it over. You gotta have good ground. Come on, man. I can't even make this video. There should be. I didn't have the ignition on. So it's off right now. Ignition on. It's easier to see without it lit up. It's cranking. That's where my switched ignition wire is going. The one right here that says it's upside down, switched ignition. So let's go over the three bundles real quick. The fuel pump wire, the gray one, is hooked up straight to the fuel pump. The pink and black wire, you've seen me test the wire. It went to a ignition, and it was while it was cranking. This bundle, the one with the OBD2, has a tachometer, a TCC brake signal switch, a malfunction indicator, and a speedometer. The malfunction indicator is just a little light bulb that you need to hook up, and the brake light switch is a 4-pole switch that you need to wire in with your brake light switch. The fan relay control on the other bundle, number 1, and fan relay control on number 2. This car already had fans hooked up. So off of this BP automotive wiring harness, I hooked up the wire going to the starter that it said to hook up out there. I hooked up all of the sensor wires on the motor and 2 wires in here. See if it has fuel pressure. I'm pretty certain I put gas in it. Let me check this relay for power. So back at it again. We have not tried to start this vehicle. We're just running through the electrical issues. I want to tell you there's a little tiny toggle switch on the bottom of the car's fuse box that kills the coil wire, and when I bolted up the fuse box back onto the firewall, I flipped it. I know. It's already building oil pressure. Yeah. I might switch computers. It's acting like the VATs are not turned off on this one I got. All right, I am back again. Different time, different day. And I want to try to edit those videos and leave most of it, and to show you what you really deal with when you're doing these LS swaps. I had the wrong computer. Didn't realize that I picked up the wrong computer off of the shelf. So I want to quickly go over something here again. In this harness, on the inside, you got 3 bundles. In bundle 1, you got fan relay control, number 1, fan 2 relay control. I'm not using any of that. This vehicle already had radiator fans wired up. I might come back and use this later. Okay, I'm not using it right now. And you just see me toss it. It's right there, okay? So in another bundle, you got tachometer, you got TCC brakes, switch signal. This controls your torque converter lockup, and it sends a signal to the computer when you hit your brake. It lets the computer know that, hey, you need to throttle up so that it doesn't quit. Speedometer and malfunction indicator. So this needs to go to a little red light to let you know that you got a check engine light. And you also got your OBD2 port here. That needs to be mounted. I will hook up my brake switch signal. I will hook that up, okay? Just because it's not hooked up right now does not mean that this will not start. And the other bundle, it has these two wires, which they're already hooked up, okay? The gray one is the fuel pump wire. It runs directly back to the fuel pump. It doesn't go to a relay. It doesn't go to a fuse or anything. It goes directly to the fuel pump because the BP automotive harness already has a fuse box with the fuel pump relay right on it, and a fuse fuel pump fuse right on it, and right here in it, fuel pump relay. It's already got it. So that gray wire goes straight back to the fuel pump. And the other wire that I'm going to talk to you about here real quick is the switched ignition wire. And in the other few minutes that you just watched, needs to go to a wire that is hot, not only in the on position, but also when you're cranking it. So you just heard my fuel pump prime. It probably won't prime again. It primed. Sometimes it won't prime twice. If it primes up, it just won't. So it also needs to be hot while it's cranking, and it'll fire right up. So I got two wires, my fuel pump and my switched ignition. So that's open headers. I don't have my water hooked up yet. That is literally all that it takes to hook up this BP automotive harness. I'm trying to lay this video out here as simple as I can for you. And I'm going to go back and do as much editing on this to show you how simple that harness is. And there's probably still going to be a lot of people say, hey, what about this or that? But that's it on starting it. There are a couple more issues with the tachometer. If your tachometer doesn't work, you'll need a resistor. I might do a separate video on showing you how to put a resistor in the line to make an aftermarket tack work, because this car has a tack, and if this tack does not work, I will have to make that tack work with this, and it will involve a little resistor. So I'll probably do a separate video on that one, so you'll be able to watch another video of mine to see how that works. So that's going to be all for this video, but I will hook up my brake switch. All I got is a universal 4-prong brake switch, and matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and take a break right here. I'm going to walk in, I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to show you. In the instructions, it gives you part numbers that you can use. This is a standard ignition part that you can get from a local parts store. That's the one that I use. 2 terminals will go for your brake lights, and 2 terminals will go for your BP automotive harness. That's simple. So I will hook this up. I'll hook my tack up. I still got a few things to do. I have to hook up a accelerator cable, top radiator hose. I did put my oil in it. I did do my air intake. I did do my starter. I did do my ground wire. I still got the rest of my hoses. I still got my steam line. I still got my throttle cable, and I still got to hook the exhaust up. 4 little things there, and I can drive it down the road. No, I have to add another one. One more thing is the shifter is not hooking up exactly right. It's not going all the way up in the park, so there's a shifter adjustment on that 400 turbo. But I'm thinking about putting a floor shifter. I got an old school floor shifter. I'm thinking about putting that in there. But one way or another, we're going to get our shifter going into park, neutral drive. But 5 little things, and this LS swap's going to be driving down the road. And I'm doing this on the weekends or in my spare time, and it's pretty cold out. I'm in the middle of winter, and I'm doing this on my weekends and my spare time. So that's one reason these videos are so drawn out. But there it is. I'm down to just a few things. I'm going to go ahead and end this video. If you like these videos, just hit the big like button and follow me. I appreciate you guys. Thanks.